Welcome to T.N.T. Garage. Today's deal is going to be a little different. Last week I didn't put anything up. I just kind of wanted to relax. I only get about a day off a week, and there's just so much going on that I try to keep it weekly. I just needed a day to kick the old feet up, you know. So today, what we're going to be looking at is my 1970 Jayco Pop-Up. Now, this is 51 years old, and it shows that it's 51 years old, but it's in better shape than most. And I picked this up a couple years ago because I was always looking for one of these. It's a model Eagle, which was the only one you could get in 1970, so I don't understand the whole name thing. This is a 10-footer, which they all were. So it's an Eagle 10G. And I'll show you what the G stands for. It ain't gangster, you know. But I'll show you what G stands for once we get to looking at this. My original thing to do today was we were going to get the old green Chevy, drag that up here, pull the motor and trans out. The only problem is, I'm an idiot. I sold the wheels and tires off that truck eons ago, and I really don't want to work out on it in the nettles and all that crap. So I'm actually waiting for a set of wheels and tires to get delivered here so we can bolt them on, drag it. Well, I'll drive it up here, take everything apart. That'll actually be a fun little time on how we're going to do it. But I want it up here to work on it. Might happen today. Either way, you guys will see it. But figured I'd throw some content out there, and we'll show you how to put this thing up. And I actually have to clean it. I never did clean it out from the last camping trip I had with my son. Sorry if you guys hear a little wind noise here. It is a beautiful day here in Wisconsin, and 65, 66 degrees, nice breeze, not too much sun. I don't have to sweat a whole lot because I'm already dirty from working on the brute farce. Had to put some brake lines in the front, the brake hoses, so I could stop without, you know, hitting the pedal 48 times and praying. So I got my favorite barley soda out here, and let's check this old girl out. All right, guys, sorry again about the wind noise. Well, we'll do a quick walk around of this here old camper. We'll start at the front. Now, 2-inch ball, pretty much industry norm, even in 70. But this has got surge brakes on it. So, if you have a look here, you can see this. This pivots. So what happens is when you slow the truck down, this will actually kick back a little bit as the trailer catches up to it. There's a push rod that goes to a master cylinder, and once you activate that master, push the brake line down, and it's got hydraulic brakes on the axle, drums with wheel cylinders, everything just like a car. And then this lever here is the emergency lever. So if you're, get this connected, this will reef on here and lock the brakes up. And you can also swing her back to disable the brakes so you could back it up. That way the brakes aren't fighting you. Set up for 2 LP tanks. Of course, I only got the one because I'm cheap. Right here is your crank port. You put your crank in there. This is a cable lift system. Most campers back in late 60s, 70s, even up in the early 80s had swing arms. So you'd unlatch top and you'd have to physically raise the front, and then the arms would lock in, and then raise the rear and the arms would lock in. This is all cable. You just crank it up. Looking at this side, you can see she's got a couple oh, sorry about that. A couple of scars. Here and there, someone rubbed up against it with a mower, I'm sure. Frame's in great shape. Put new wheels and tires on it. Put new bearings in it, packed them and all that stuff so it'd survive a road trip. The owner I bought it from, and I got it out of a trailer park, go figure, he said that to level this out, to keep it stable once it was popped up, he'd just take some scissor car jacks, put it up under the back there, which you could see someone welded something. I don't know what that is, but so he'd put car jacks under here, and you see this here, it just goes up there. So he's like, yeah, just get yourself some car jacks. I go, oh yeah, well, it's a Jayco, which I've had Jaycos growing up, so I just reached underneath like this, flipped it down, and Gracie would have thought I walked across the pond before it froze. It's like, oh, I didn't know those were there. It's like, well, did you look? Anyway, enough shitting on that guy. Backside here, your typical, well, old camper. You got your tire mount, got your lights. These actually have LEDs in them. The 4-inch round truck style LED lights inside the housings. So it looks factory, but they're bright. You don't have the rust problems that give you a bad ground, because this stuff, real thin aluminum. It's really hard to ground lights through that. Like half the lights work on this until I go through, put new ones on. Of course, this side, you got your power outlets. This is power in. You just hook an extension cord to that. Sink drain, or no, sorry, this is water in. So city water, you just hook a garden hose up to it. You got a water tank fill over there. The tank's gone, so I don't even worry about that. And then the drain's down below. So, yeah, stuff like this. I want to see if I can get someone to 3D print these old badges, because I really want them back on the camper. This is going to be one of them things where I go through it, make it look like brand new. Won't be that hard. As you can see, the roof's got a little bow in it. It doesn't leak because, well, the trailer park guy, oddly enough, had put like a rubberized coating on here that you'd put on like an old trailer home to keep it from leaking, and that's kind of what saved that. I want to rebuild the roof, but these are all wood. Every panel on this is wood, so you're just relying on the strength of the wood all the way back to hold up water, snow, whatever. I want to build an aluminum, like a 1x1 square tube aluminum frame that runs like this, and then probably 3 across, and then one on the other side with a couple of cross members. And then just put foam board in there. So 1, it'd help it insulate it better. 2, it'd be a lot stronger. And 3, it'll be lighter and easier on the crank system. Which any of you guys that know, if you broke a cable in one of these, yeah, you may as well throw them away. Unless it's brand new or you really love it, which I would fix it, but most people don't. That's how you come by these for cheap. This one always worked, never had an issue. So let's I'll grab the crank out from inside. We'll pop our latches off here, and I'll show you guys how this thing goes up. All right, we'll go ahead and open up the door. Always leave the crank handle right inside so I don't have to search for it. You flip these up. Now here's one little piece of trivia. I know I have a bunch of useless knowledge about pop-ups. But back in the day, they flip up like this. And the problem is, they swing down, you're not paying attention, it'll catch back into the catch. And when you go to lift it up, you'll either rip it out here or rip it out here. What I'm going to end up doing is most of the newer pop-ups, late 70s, early 80s, they actually flip this arrangement where the catch is on the roof and, you know, the latch is down here. That way when you flip them, they just drop down, they don't catch anything. But on these, you just got to watch them. So we'll go ahead and pop these. Make sure, sometimes you can get them to stay up, but we don't want them to catch and screw up anything worse than it already is. One more and we're good to go. That one ain't gonna catch, so we go ahead and put the crank in. Always slowly crank these, you know, and just make sure the whole roof is raising. You don't need to be going 90 miles an hour. I mean, you're going to try and relax when you're camping. So go ahead and just crank her easy. I put this one up different than some people. Newer campers, usually you just raise the roof all the way up, pull the beds out, you know, pull the canvas over them. Well, this one, the canvas is 51 years old. She shrunk a bit. So there's a certain way you got to do it to not damage the canvas, and I'll show you that. So if any of you guys have old pop-ups and you struggle like hell to get the canvas over the bunks when you're already up, I'll show you a trick. So, you know, as you're cranking, you might hear a couple pops. That's just their springs on the pulleys. Just make sure when you hear those, keep going slow, make sure it's raising. I've never had a problem with this one. So I usually go halfway up or so. So right here is where I'm going to go ahead and pull the bunks out, get the canvas thrown over them. So this is how I do it. Make sure your canvas ain't going to catch on your rails. And then go ahead and pull the bunk out just a bit. I always jump up and catch the canvas so we can pull it over a little easier. So I pull the bunks out 1/2 to 3/4, and then I'm going to go ahead and throw the canvas over it. Well, before I do that, I'll show you what goes on inside here, because I do this from the outside. The newer ones have poles that go, and I'll kind of explain that. But you have a hoop here, and what your goal is, get the canvas over it and have these little arms that go ahead and pop in the hole there. So that's why I do it this way, because the old canvas is kind of shrunk. So we'll go ahead and pull the canvas over, get the hoop up and locked in, and we'll continue putting her up. I know I could probably time lapse this, but you guys don't have anything better to do, right? There we go. What is going on? Oh, it's a tractor. That's what's making all the noise. So now, pull the hoop up. And if you guys had x-ray vision, you could see me slinging those arms into place and putting the peg in the hole. So, get this other one here. And now, I'll pull the bunk the rest of the way out. So, just kind of get your canvas lined up the best you can. Get your posts out. And just give her a yank or two. There we go. Now, a lot of people struggle with these. You got to get them down there and up here. They stick them in, you know, they just have a hard time. So what I do is I go ahead, it's got a flat piece here that goes in a little bracket. I put her up, get it in there, and then I give her the beans and drop her in the lower point. It's a lot easier to use that post as leverage to pull out on it rather than to push. So we'll get this one. And there we go. I'll quick pull the back bunk out, and we'll continue putting her up. There we go. Get my poles up. Make sure we're not going to catch her. There we go. Get her draped. Huzzah. Yeah. Oh. There we go. All right. Make sure we got our canvas in place. And she's out. Same thing in the back, guys. Put her in the bracket and then give her a pull. Well, of course, the bumper, you gotta get through that. But there we go. Oh. One more. Yeah. There we go. Oh, if I don't run into everything. Now we can finish just chucking her the rest of the way up. Just like before, keep watching. So, the newer campers typically have like a cable to go here to here, and you pluck it like a base. but she's got a good twang. That's when you know to stop. These don't have that, so you just kind of guess. Canvas is taut. Now, the door swings up, latches up onto the roof. So, we'll go ahead and drop the door down, and it's almost done. So, here we go. Get the curtain out of the way. Now, oh, the bastard. I obviously didn't go high enough. We'll swing the door open, go up a little higher so we can get her. Yeah. There we go. Actually, with the door like this, I can do this from the outside. Yeah. Swing her in. It just goes through a little tab, you turn it, there you go. Same thing on this side. You get on there, and then there's one on the door. Come on. There we go. And now at this point, I usually drop the roof half an inch to an inch, just to keep this from being too tight, not stressing anything. Plus, it locks the door in place. So you go ahead and get her down right about, and always give it a click. There you go. So now that closes. I need to put a new thing on because it doesn't always like to stay. As far as these, I'll take you guys inside and kind of show you how to finish setting up in here. But as far as outside, oh, got to put the step on. You don't need to be smacking or tripping or any of that. And I was pleasantly surprised when I bought this camp, put it up for the first time, it had the factory step. Now, the way it hooks, that lower channel that hangs down, you see this, you just, and it drops right in. So we'll throw that on, and it's like that, nice and sturdy. As far as the rest of the outside, obviously you put the jacks down, I'll show you that, but the other thing is you have these bungees here that go all the way around the perimeter of the canvas. And provided you don't jam one up into the rail, you just hook them to little bobbits under here is all it is. Pretty simple. Just go all the way around. You just feel for them. I grew up with a pop-up, so most of this is second nature. So go ahead and swing them all the way around. And one more. Oh, come on. There we go. Where is it? There. All right. So that's that. I mean, fairly simple. I suppose one thing we'll go over while we're out here is the main reason I wanted one of these campers is I always loved the slanted look of the front and back, which was more of a StarCraft thing for you people who know campers for whatever reason other than you don't have a life like me. But Jayco did this in 1968. They made a couple campers. 69 was the same. 70, 71, 72, and I want to say 73. They kind of squared off the back, and they actually opened up the wheel arches here. But now I'm rambling on. But the main reason I wanted one of these are these screens. You can see that these are a very vivid green, and it's something as a child. When we go through the campgrounds, these were still, fairly good shape back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I always just loved the way the green popped. So I'm very happy. This canvas, all the screens are intact. There's no holes or anything. I mean, the canvas has seen better days. It don't leak, but it's got a couple small rips at the very bottom, a repair here, and it's dirty. I'm going to have a custom-made canvas for it, but I want to retain these screens. And, well, that's basically it. I love the way these things look. They're neat, So we'll go ahead and kind of show you some stuff on the inside. We'll talk a little history of these campers. I know it's not interesting for most, but for camping guys like myself, or ladies like yourselves, or anybody, it's kind of fun to know about these things. So we'll get to going inside. Well, before we go inside, we're going to show you how this jack works. Now, the original handle is long gone, so I just took one of my lady feet here, and this works pretty good. So, pretty straightforward. All you do is you stick her through one of these here, and you can see there's a hole back there, and you just shove her down. Which I need to lube these up so they just want to drop. But you can see that it's like an old car jack. So you get her in there. See how she just drops into place once you get her locked. There we go. So I always usually go one more. And then same thing, you go to pop her loose. You just reef up on that. She pops her. So let's go inside. This is 1971 classic here. It's got the old bathroom fixture. Mine, that's old wallpaper. This thing got musty. I honestly want to redo the roof. There you go. Now you guys can see the kind of texture of wallpaper. It's really neat. I want to redo that. And the same thing once I do the roof. But got our nice 70s hippie curtains. It does not smell like hippie sex in here, believe it or not. It actually is not even really musty. Right here, got our cook area. That's I want to clean this up. It's got a nice little 3-burner cooktop. All LP, of course. All works. I've used it before. And you got to put your splash guard back down. You got your functioning sink. And that little spigot works there. And Mr. Elephant fell over there. He's actually been on every camper since 1990, 1991. He's always ridden with us as a family, so I figured what better place than to have that little guy in here, of course. You got these. These are kind of neat, so I'll get back to that. But when I said 8G, or 10G, sorry, G stands for gaucho. That apparently is a gaucho. Don't mind the stains. This is where my dog sleeps. It's actually just the covers, so I can pull it off and clean it. Keep muddy feet off the other stuff. So you got your gaucho there. You just go ahead and sit on here. You got your dinette. Say you got too many people. It's like, well, oh, I got to hold a plate here. Well, we got you solved. Go ahead and flip that bad boy up. There you go. You got an eating surface on both sides. Of course, there's outlets all over. But kind of the neat thing about this, it's like a rudimentary jackknife. You flip the bottom over, you spread those out, and you have a nice little twin bed right here. When I bought the camper, it was missing this mattress. So when me and my son go camping, I actually just take these cushions off of the dinette, and they lay right in there, because I never fold this dinette down. This can be made into a twin bed also. You drop the table down, see, you drop it down on that, and then you just spread those out, and you got another bed. This is, of course, mine, and you can see this fine goldenrod mattress material. I gotta try to match that for the other side, and always try to keep a sheet on it. And believe you me, those are not comfortable at all. They're about this thick of old worn out foam. So when I redo everything, it's going to get upgraded. But you got your zip open stuff. You got more curtains. You got that ugly one. I don't think that's original. But that's pretty much everything in here. There's not a whole lot to set up. The newer pop-ups, regardless of, if you had a dinette here and this was open or whatever, newer pop-ups had a swing over unit. So when you'd have it down, you just grab the sink and a stove and it'd swing over and lay on its face. And then, you flip it back over and, quite a bit higher. This actually sucks to do dishes in because, it's right above right in the middle of my thigh. And bending over to do that is just, that kind of blows. But I said we'd get to a little bit of the history on these. There's a few setups you could get in one of these back in 1970. Let me just sit on the furnace here. You could get the 10G, which had the gaucho. You could get the 10D, which meant double dinette. Now, I never understood this option, but you have a dinette here, and then they offered that same thing on this side too. So you have the same sleeping space and all that, and just 2 dinettes. It was just weird. And they would sleep 8. I suppose I've been misspeaking this whole time. Yeah. Yep, I'm an idiot. These are actually 8G. It has nothing to do with the length of the box. It's just 10-footer. They all were. This is 8G, which means it sleeps 8 with a gaucho. And then the 8D sleeps 8 with 2 dinettes. And then there was a 6 something, which slept 6, but this dinette was right there. That was moved over, and then you had a whole aisle, both sides, and it only slept 6. But I digress. As far as the history of these, back when these were first produced, you could only get the 10-foot, and you could only get a double bed on either side. That changed later in the 70s, early 80s. They put a queen-size bed on this side, which was much longer. You had extra rods, longer canvas, all that, which I'd love to be able to build a custom canvas, have someone that can make me one to facilitate putting a queen bed with the rails and everything over here, because I'm 5'10", and if I lay straight across here, I touch both sides of the canvas. And with the queen being longer, you can sleep this way and not have to worry about that. I usually just sleep at an angle. But yeah, that's not much has changed over the years in one of these, at least up into the mid-90s. Layout's similar. Canvas is interchangeable. Anything that had double bunks, double-sized bunks, you could take a canvas off and put on one of these, or vice versa, all the way up the early 2000s, I believe. So, I mean, that's the little deal with this camper, and I love this thing. I mean, look at them screens. Them are neat. I need to fix the furnace. Thermocouple's bad. I found that out last year camping, but that's no big deal. That's an easy fix. When I rebuild the roof, I'm going to set it up to have a fart vent in there, because this one does not have one, unlike most campers. That little crank vent that just goes whoop up there. I'm going to put one of those in, and then an AC unit. Instead of being like most people that just cut a hole in somewhere and slide a window unit. It might not look like anything, but it's a vintage unit, and I really don't want to ruin it. So thanks for checking this out. All right, guys, that I guess concludes the video of this old girl. She's a neat thing. I really do adore this. I want a couple other ones. I'm insane like that. I got to have a couple of everything. A couple Dodges. I have 2 Camaros. I'd like to find a 14-foot, which would have been a tandem axle. That'd be pretty neat. They didn't start producing them until 74 or 5. But just a little look at my old classic pop-up. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you could do one of the 3, all of the 3, none of the 3. Like, share, subscribe this, Let's keep this stuff rolling, and I will keep you guys updated when I decide to, fix anything on it. This is kind of a not last resort. Hold on. Not as important project. Can't speak today. But this one's definitely not on the top of the list of things that get done. It's something I'd like to have done by next camping season. Granted, I can camp in it just the way it is, just fine. But I'd really like to have this thing pristine and, be able to take it out and people see it. I've gotten some compliments on it, or comments even, about, they haven't seen one of these things in years. And usually people paint them or trash them or turn them into a fucking trailer. So I'm glad I got a hold of it. I'm glad you guys checked this out. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. Check me out on Facebook at T.N.T. Garage. I haven't set up my Instagram account for it yet, but I haven't put any content on it. So Instagram at T.N.T. Garage. Of course on YouTube, which is where you're watching me. So thanks again for watching, guys. I hope this stoked a little bit of interest, and we'll keep her going.